so I did my project on the world's tallest structure, which happens to be a skyscraper right now. Not really sure if I can pronounce it correctly, but it's the Burj Khalifa, I believe. It's located in Dubai. And this is a picture looking from the top of the structure at all of the surrounding skyscrapers. The inspiration for the design was a desert flower. They wanted it to be aesthetically pleasing, and they also wanted it to have good aerodynamics, and they chose this design because it reduced the wind loads in the structure. Next slide. The foundation design was one of the trickiest parts because the structure weighed almost 1 billion pounds. And how they designed the foundation, they used 192 piles that were each 1.5 meters in diameter and 50 meters deep. And then on top of the piles, they rested the mat, which was 3.7 meters thick. And all of this had to support the 1 billion pounds without having too much settlement. And down here on the bottom, there is a display of the settlement calculations. And they said that the total maximum calculated settlement was only 70 millimeters underneath the center of the structure, which I thought was impressive. So the structural system that they chose to use for this was a buttressed core. It's a hexagonal core, and that's going to provide the rotational stiffness for the structure so that it doesn't rotate about its axis. And in addition to that, they used a flat plate floor system, which allowed for additional stories in the same vertical distance of another building that would be comparable, which there aren't any right now. And this system also was able to, this buttress core system was also able to resist the wind that you can see here. You have the top, the middle, and the bottom sections, and that's the diagrams that they drew for that. So the construction methods that they used, this is a concrete structure. The entire structure is concrete except for the spire, which weighed, that's later on actually, except for the spire, and it was 431,600 cubic yards of concrete and over 55 tons of reinforcing steel. The spire was over 4,000 tons of steel, and the construction process took 22 million man hours, and the labor was only paid 2.84 euros a day. So they had really, really cheap labor, and there was actually a huge controversy there. They had a big riot, and all the laborers did enough destruction. It cost like $500 million in destruction. So the construction timeline, the construction began in 2004, September 21st. That's when they did the groundbreaking and started doing the foundation, drilling piles. And then they were able to complete the exterior of the building on October 1st, 2009. And then they just had an opening ceremony this January, in which they completed the entire building. This is how it stacks up against the other world's tallest buildings. As you can see, like the Sears Tower that we have here in Chicago is only like 2/3 of the height of this building. This building is approximately half a mile tall. So the important records for this building, it's the world's tallest structure, 2,717 feet. It's the building with the most floors, 160, and has the world's fastest elevator, which I thought was pretty cool, at 40 miles an hour. So, I mean, you can get to the top pretty quickly. And then it also, another important record was the highest vertical concrete pumping. They pumped concrete over up to almost 2,000 feet. And the previous record was several hundred feet below that, I believe. And a little fun fact, world's highest swimming pool on the 76th floor.
That is huge.
So, and then for his questions, if you look up in the top right corner, you can actually see the curvature of the Earth. And this is from the very top looking down.
Questions?
Who owns the penthouse?
It's actually for sale. Everything's for sale right now, all the residential areas, and they're going to be going for sale about $4,600 per square foot, I think. It's really expensive.
What's the sway at the top of the building?
I'm not sure. I was looking for it. I didn't get any definitive information. And I also looked to see if they had any damping systems at the top because I couldn't imagine them having a structure that high without having any sort of wind damping, but I didn't find any information on that.
I heard something recently that they had originally sold most of the residences within the building, but a lot of people pulled out because of the financial crisis that's going on in Dubai right now. Did you find anything on that?
I didn't look at anything other than the structural and kind of record-breaking parts of the structure. But yeah, I mean, there's in addition to the residential, there's a bunch of commercial, and there's a few hotels in it as well. So I mean, there's a lot of usages. This building's supposed to be the centerpiece for additional skyscrapers. There's a landscape, like a portrait, if you look it up online, of what they want Dubai to look like in 20 years, because they're trying to go from an oil-based economy to a tourist-based economy.
How does the water and sewer system work? What happens when you flush the toilet on 160th floor?
I actually looked into that a little bit, but not too much because I knew that just the mechanical issues in this building is an engineering masterpiece in its own, in addition to the civil engineering. But you have to be careful. You don't want any straight pipes. I mean, the velocity would be ridiculous. You'd probably hit a terminal velocity.
People at higher levels should go to 60th floor or below to
Yeah.
use toilets.
There's no restrooms above the 60th floor.
So did they do any LEED certification or anything like that, or they just built it? What were some of the environmental concerns, considerations? Did it talk anything about that?
I didn't see anything about the environmental concerns. The only concerns that I saw were the economic and the labor issues.
So it's just like the islands, let's just build them and see
Right.
what happens.
And they weren't really concerned about the financial costs in the beginning of the project until they started to get broke at the end.
I was gonna say, I used to be really impressed with this building until I just found out that they only paid $2.84. Anybody could build a building if their labor costs are that cheap.
Yeah, the building only cost $1.5 billion, which is ridiculously cheap for the size of the structure.
It was mostly immigrants too.
Yeah, they're
They weren't-
Southeast Asian.
Yeah, they weren't
I believe.
Dubai natives. They were just
And-
people they imported in.
The highest skilled laborers only got paid like €4.50 a day. Yeah.
Okay.
That's like
Oh.
almost minimum wage, isn't it? And that's when, like back then. It's a day.
Well, it's a
wasn't it?
day. That's not an hour. That's a day.
Oh, a day.
Yeah.
Day. That's a big difference.
Yeah. They paid for it in writing costs.
Any other
Did they have any problems and stuff like dropping out of that building, like killing people?
Actually, they had a lot of casualties because the laborers weren't particularly skilled and they weren't paid very high, and there weren't a lot of safety considerations. They had a lot of deaths during construction.
How many are a lot?
I didn't get a number. I just saw a lot. I don't think they want that statistic too well known.
It's going to be completely politically incorrect to actually live in this building.
But it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's impressive.
I take it Asia doesn't have governance over there?
No.
It would just be like.
Any other questions?
Okay.